Okay, so this is the solo session with Creoners. Dun dun. As Finn. Basically, as I had said in the chat, we are retroactiving things a little bit. Here's how things are going to happen. You guys arrive on the city on Falcor,
Sweet.
and you're basically told by Lady Celine that you've arrived in the evening, and that tomorrow around noon or so they're going to hold a council with everyone. All your new allies and your old allies. You guys are going to sit down and have a council to determine what the next step should be. But until then, your time is your own. However, you do see that after all that's done, Alana, the Wood Elf Queen, motions you over with a big smile.
Okay, I'll go over and see what's up with her.
She takes you by the hand quite regally,
Oh,
as a queen does, and leads you into the hallway, and then, when no one's watching, hugs you like a bestie.
oh yeah. When she's leading Finn will probably like trip because she's just clumsy in that scenario.
And then she will hug you, and she'll say, "I'm so happy you're back. I missed you so much."
Oh, I missed you too. How is everything going here?
Her face gets darker, and she says, "Not well.
Huh?
The war is difficult." And
Yeah.
she pauses and she goes, "I wasn't ready to be a queen when I was thrown onto the throne." Ha, that rhymes.
Well, she is an elf.
No, she actually said that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. She says, "I thought I could rise up to the challenge, and I'd like to think I did a good job, but every day I'm sending war parties out, and every day they're coming back with less people. I can't even imagine what you've had to go through."
Well, it hasn't been pretty, but I guess that's the nature of war.
She nods solemnly, and then she looks up and her eyes brighten. "But I have a surprise for you."
Oh.
And then she,
Oh, wait, I have well, not really a surprise, but hey, check this out. And then Finn will call over Baby Junior.
Baby Junior will come padding up, and will you control Baby Junior? So I'm not going to say what Baby Junior does or doesn't
Baby
do.
Junior comes padding up and sits down and kind of cocks his head. And I'll be like, "Your Majesty, meet Baby Junior."
Alana looks at Baby Junior, and then her eyes light up, and she scratches her behind the ears and says, "She's adorable."
Wait, you could tell right away that it was a girl?
You couldn't?
Uh, no. I mean, yeah, no. Anyway, continue. What do you have for me?
She says, "Oh, yes, yes." And she grabs you by the wrist and literally skips down the hall. This is very different than... This is the Alana you remember back when you guys became friends, not the queen that you see in front of people. She almost skips down the hall with you to her to a room near her antechambers. And she knocks on the door, and you hear a familiar elderly voice say, "Come in, come in." And you are ushered in by Alana, and sitting in the room in the chair is your uncle.
Finn's mouth just drops open and she looks completely stunned.
And his face lights up and looks similarly stunned and goes, "Finian, when did you get back?"
Uncle, is that you?
And with that, you hear a fluttering, and your neck is suddenly embraced by Amika.
Mika.
And she says, "Finn."
Oh, you found him? I'm so happy to see you, Mika. And Finn will just stop talking because she can't do words and just run up and hug her uncle.
Your uncle will laugh and hug you back, and Mika will flutter to sit on his shoulder, and he says, "Yes, it was quite a surprise when a fairy showed up at my door. saying that my favorite niece had said to find shelter here. Your friend is quite charming, and we have kept each other company. We have grown quite fond of each other, haven't we, Mika? And Mika looks happier than you've seen her since she found out about her brother.
Oh, this is so touching.
Aw.
Sorry.
And Alana clears her throat gently, and she says, I'm sure you're aware that there was some sort of device that launched fire towards the village where your uncle was. It missed the village, but I assumed that the village was the target, and considering everything you've been through, I naturally concluded that you were the reason. I can't think of any other reason why that village would have been, out of all the other villages, the target.
Yeah, that pretty much sums it up. Finn's just kind of like looking down at the ground, not making eye contact.
Alana nods at your acknowledgement and says, with that in mind, I felt the best and safest place for your uncle would be here with me. So I sent guards to invite him to stay.
And with that, Finn's just turns around and just hugs her, and just says, "Thank you so much."
She hugs you back, and your uncle says, "Oh, don't be like that. This is not your fault, dearie. You've done nothing wrong. From what I've heard, in fact, you've done quite admirably and nobly for yourself."
Oh, are we talking about me?
He actually smacks Finn upside the back of the head. Of course I'm talking about you, you lump for brains.
Oh, glad to know that I'm keeping appearances or something like that. Ow, that really hurt. She kind of like starts rubbing her head a bit harder.
Your uncle kind of smirks to himself, and then he goes and sits back down. And he says, "Though I must say, you make the best friends. I had not a clue that my favorite niece was friends with the Queen of the Wood Elves."
To be fair, when I met her, I didn't know either.
He raises an eyebrow at that, and Alana takes you by the hands again and leads you to another chair and says, "A story for another time, perhaps. I wanted to say, now that you've come home and you've seen that your uncle and your friend are well taken care of." And then she hesitates for a bit, and she says, "We're worried. How are you holding up?"
Finn sort of shrugs. I don't really... It's hard to say. I don't know. I don't really feel like myself anymore. I guess that's not a bad thing, but... I don't know. I feel like maybe I'm just playing the role or something. Can't quite explain it.
Alana nods, and your uncle's quiet for a long time. And then he leans forward and he says, "I have been told various details of what you've been forced to do. And I can only imagine how it would make you feel. But I'm not the least bit surprised. I know how you think of yourself. But the same little niece of mine who thinks that she is a bumbling fool is the same niece that had the courage to open the gates to give freedom to what she cared about most. And it's the same niece that is now, from what I understand, fighting to protect our very lives." And he puts a hand and cups Finn's cheek and lifts her face up and says, "I could not be more proud of you than ever."
Finn will just break down and just sobbing and hugging him.
He will just sit there and hold you and comfort you, and no one says a word. And obviously Mika and Alana are very, very polite, and they're just very quiet. And when the sobbing stops and everything calms down, um, your uncle says, "Oh, I forgot to tell you. I was going to write you a letter, but of course I didn't know where to send it. Did you know your friend's back?
What are you talking about?
The friend that you used to write to me about all the time in the military, Follette. She's back. She's actually opened up a shop in Vale.
Finn's eyes widen. You
I,
didn't you didn't talk to her, did you?
well, that's the oddest thing. I went to go say hi to her, but she didn't remember who I was. I mean, we've never met, of course, but I mentioned you, and
Wait, you oh, sorry, I don't mean to, you've never met Follette?
well, in your writings, of course, but
But
well, Follette, that's the only I could be mistaken, but it's the only elf from Vale that ever had that name. A tall girl, blonde hair, and he kind of looks at his own hair that's blonde and says, "Has the oddest colored green eyes you've ever seen." Spoiler alert, yes, Follette has the oddest colored green eyes you've ever seen.
okay, I'll remember to put that in the picture.
Yeah. Oh God, I'm sorry. And he says, I can only assume it's her. She says that she doesn't remember you, but she matches your description to a T. But I just assumed that maybe she had suffered some sort of injury or something, the poor dear. But you should be happy to know that she set up shop in Vale. She actually is selling herbs and flowers.
Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you.
He looks oddly. I thought you'd be happier.
I am happy. I I don't I don't know.
He pats you on the shoulder. Well, it's been a long few months, of course. But enough of that. Have you eaten?
Ooh, Finn's stomach starts growling.
And with that, you guys sit down to have a meal. And is there anything you would prefer to bring up or discuss with them? You haven't seen them in a long time, or is it just going to be kind of small talk? Or
I think Finn would go into detail of what she's been doing the past few months, and then want to inquire about have has her uncle seen any oddities, any demons or anything coming through, and have they given him issues, I guess.
he laughs and he says, "I've seen no demons, though Mika can be quite a terror." And with that, Mika puts her fists on her hips and looks at him disdainfully. But you can tell that there's already a strong friendship between the two.
Good.
And he says, "But no, child, nothing like what you're speaking. That attack on the town, I'm not even convinced was aimed at me."
Well, you know, yeah. Finn just resorts back to her quiet kind of mumbling that she seems to be doing when they bring things up.
And Mika will actually broach the subject a little carefully. "You haven't heard anything about my brother, have you?"
Finn shakes her head. No, I haven't. I'm sorry, Mika. I'll keep an eye out, but nothing so far.
She actually shakes her head and she says, "No, best you don't. I tried reaching out to him once. It was not a pleasant experience. I don't know if the brother I knew is simply gone or if he never existed, but Trip is not what I thought he was."
Finn stays quiet, kind of just staring down at the table.
And then she says, "Do the others still hate me?"
She sighs, like rubbing the back of her head. Um, I don't think hate's a good word. I wouldn't go near Jarek, but I don't think hate's a good word.
I'm sorry.
Sorry,
Hate's not a good word. Don't go near Jarek.
don't go near Jarek. Um, I think there's just a lot of unknowns right now, and I think if you approach maybe Pearson or Keen, you'd be fine. Um, but yeah, a lot of suspicions. That really hasn't changed a whole lot, but at least now you're in better company.
She nods, but she doesn't look that cheered. And Alana says, "Fear not. You are my personal advisor now, and no one will touch you without my say-so." And Mika will say, "That's not the point, Your Majesty."
Mika, I mean, I really can't speak on behalf of the others. I would try and approach them. You never know. We've all kind of changed throughout this experience. I still wouldn't go near Jarek though, but I I think maybe it would do you some good. And you're the advisor now?
Mika nods and picks her head up and says, "There are very few who are from, well, you wouldn't know the name of the world, of course, but we've had experience with the invading demons. Sky and I both act as advisors. In fact, Sky is part of the White Bridge Guard now.
Really?
A lieutenant, if I am to understand."
Oh, wow. I'll have to visit with her sometime.
Mika nods. She said she wanted to. She said that this had been her enemy far longer than it had been any of ours, and she wanted to do what she could to continue to fight it. I obviously am not quite as brave, but. And then she trails off.
Oh, you're plenty brave. Don't sell yourself short.
Alana puts a hand on Overfin's and says she has been incredibly useful when it comes to trying to determine how they think. And of course Mika kind of looks down, abashed.
Mm.
But that is things that we shall discuss tomorrow in the council. For tonight, I am not a queen. You are not a champion. And your uncle says, "I'm still an uncle."
Yeah, quiet, old man.
And she says, "For tonight, let's just have a quiet, pleasant evening."
Oh, I love the sound of that.
And with that, for the rest of the evening, you just spend time with your best friend, your fairy, and your uncle, and your baby junior.
Thank you. I was about to add,
And
but you
your
remembered.
baby junior.
And baby Junior.
And Taz, believe it or not. Don't forget Taz.
Oh, shit.
You forgot Taz.
Taz has. I know Taz is there, but it's like an unspoken there.
Taz, unspoken. Taz actually spends a lot of time with baby junior.
Yeah. They have a bond building that's just not recorded.
So yeah, you spend the rest of the evening. You guys shy away from any talk of the war, of what's going on, and talk more about just small conversation and little stuff.
Good. Good.
And is there anything else, or should we end there?
I think that's a good place to end.
Alrighty then. Nice. So this is my solo session with Burn or Keen. Keen Stormsire. Yours is the only one I really like saying both names for. I don't know why. Keen Stormsire.
It's because my name is epic.
as I had mentioned before, we are retroactiving a little bit. You guys arrive at the Sunset Tower on Falcor, and basically you are greeted by Queen Alana and Lady Celine.
Yeah.
And after a very quick debriefing of like, "Hey, how did you show up on a dragon? I assume things went well." You're basically told that tomorrow at noon, you guys have arrived in the evening, and you're told that tomorrow at noon there will be a council held with all your new and old allies, and basically this council will be used to determine what everyone's next step should be.
Yeah.
But until then, there's I hesitate to say free time because you're not under anyone's control. So basically, there's nothing that you need to do until about noon tomorrow.
Yeah.
So it's kind of in your ballpark where you go, what you do.
Yeah. Well, I would check up on Caleb
Okay.
because he's my buddy.
All right. You could ask around, and you would be told that Caleb has set up a blacksmithy. Actually, he's more commandeered one of the wood elf blacksmithies and has made extensive modifications to it. And you will be told by one of the passing guards that he is the go-to man for outfitting the army. Obviously, one blacksmith is not going to outfit everyone, but he is
Yeah.
when someone wants quality done. He's basically the best blacksmith left. There were other blacksmiths in Wrightbridge that would have surpassed his skill. Not anymore.
Yeah, they're kind of gone.
And the wood elves are much better at being bowers, and they can make steel, but not to the extent that the blacksmiths in Whitebridge were. So, So you're told that, and you're given directions to his forge.
Mm-hmm.
And when you arrive, it takes some time. I'm going to say because this actually kind of takes place after someone else's or after a part of theirs. So it will say it's taken you some time to ask around and finally find the forge. And it's been a few hours.
Yeah.
And it's nighttime now.
Mm-hmm.
And when you arrive in the forge, you see Caleb talking to Sky. And Sky is a bit different than you remember. She looks exactly the same.
Yeah.
But she carries herself better, taller, prouder, you might even say. And she is dressed in the garb of a Whitebridge guard. The same uniforms that were worn by the unit that held back the zombies in that village. The ones that half of them didn't survive.
Yeah.
And then, if you recall, Sky was the one who found them and brought them back to the Sunset Tower. She is wearing their uniform.
Well, all right then.
And when you walk in, they both look up, and Sky's face instantly, for a moment, instantly brightens, and then kind of gets nervous in the sense of first reaction, oh, second reaction, oh. And Caleb, on the other hand, goes, Keen! And he rushes over and he clasps your hand and hits you on the shoulder, and you notice that he has a rather nasty and fresh-looking scar on his arm that was not there before.
Holy shit, what happened to you?
This? Oh. Well, the Queen, in her infinite wisdom, and of course Lady Celine, have me in here most of the time making arms for soldiers, but I refuse to be in here all the time, and I have, in no uncertain terms, used my friend here to jockey for me to go on patrols from time to time and see some action. And this, baby, was from our last little sortie. And when he says that, both he and Sky's face get a little bit darker. And you've seen this before. It is the face of, it did not go well.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you survived.
He says, me? What about you? I've heard amazing tales from you. I've heard from our friends, the gnomes, who arrived here a few days ago, that apparently you and your friends have saved the entire race, if you're to believe what them.
Yeah, there was a I don't know if you've ever heard of it. Do you know what a beholder is?
Sky's face blanches, and she breathes, Shalta.
Yeah, we killed him. We even ripped off his tentacles and fed it to him. Yeah.
With that, Caleb laughs, deep-throatedly laughs, and Sky's eyes just grow really wide. And Caleb goes, that sounds like you.
Well, part of it was me. Part of it was the gruff guy that is venturing with us, Pearson. He he can kind of fly off the handle sometimes, but it was still pretty impressive.
At the mention of,
All
I was gonna say, at the mention of Pearson, you actually hear a small little, very short clipped, surprised noise from Sky.
oh no, oh boy.
And do you react at all to that?
I'm thinking if I should or not. Give me a couple of seconds. I need
Sure.
to cough really quick.
Sure.
Um, Keen will look concerned over to her. Are you feeling okay?
She nods and then she says, "My apologies. I ran into Pearson just before coming here, before my patrol was done. His youngest daughter has been following me around for some time, and I've been trying to keep away from her as I promised, but, well, Pearson has a way of walking in on the worst times."
Oh no.
She like waves her hands in protest. "He wasn't mean or rude or anything. He just was, well, I don't think his opinion of me has changed much."
Yeah, that guy can seem to carry a grudge. Okay.
And she goes, "Not that it should. I understand, Keen. This is a horrible situation we're all in."
I know. Look,
And Caleb the whole time is like looking back and forth like, "Am I missing something?"
look. I harbor no hard feelings over what happened in Whitebridge. Okay.
Sky nods and says, "That means a lot to me."
In fact, you helped us. You saved a whole bunch of lives by going and risking your life to help those soldiers.
And Caleb says she's done quite a bit more than that since. And of course, Sky's face gets a little red, and he goes, "Some of the soldiers have taken to calling her the Valkyrie."
Interesting name.
It's
I
the
like it.
and Caleb makes a big hand. "It's the wings, you see. They tend to come out when she gets into a battle fever." And Caleb seems to be quite enjoying this all.
Keen's gonna look from Caleb to her and then back to Caleb.
Sky, like, she looks rather ashamed. She says, "I asked for a place on the guard, and Lady Celine was kind enough to give me one. Your friend exaggerates too much."
I don't know. He does exaggerate sometimes, but not to this degree.
She kind of looks away again. And Caleb says, "So, are you here for good? Is this just a stop before your next great adventure?"
Well, we've had some really troubling news. I don't think my place is here at the moment. I mean, I've supposedly there's a mountain over in the Dwarven lands that is
Wait,
going.
let me stop. You don't know this yet.
I don't know this yet.
Council's tomorrow at noon.
Okay. Well, we do know from oh God, I forgot his name. Starts with an A.
Azil.
Yeah, we do know from Azil that some kind of huge thing is going to befall the dwarves. That's what he did say.
Yes. You can say so as much if you choose.
Yeah,
All right.
that's what I'm going to say.
Sky's mouth will drop. "You spoke to Azil?"
Yeah, he sort of appeared in front of us when we were going up against Nye, or his creation, whatever it's called.
You notice that obviously Sky is quiet, but this isn't the same shy and bashful Sky. There's more of a burning anger to this quietness. but she keeps it tight in check. And Caleb's like, Azil is bad?
He is the general of the demon army. He's essentially their master, and once he's dead, this whole thing can basically be put behind us. I think the portals will close as well. So
Caleb nods. So bad.
yes, very bad.
Well,
Kind of
then,
an asshole.
you're not leaving tonight, are you?
No, not to my knowledge. Oh, right. There is something that I should mention. You remember Olivia?
And Caleb goes, Olivia. The firecracker, the one that had you pulled around her finger as often as you did her.
Well, remember how she ran away, and I've been kind of trying to find her for a while?
Caleb nods. How could I forget?
I found her.
The way I was going to say, he's like, how could I forget? And he'll turn to Sky. Obsessed this man was for years, pining over his Olivia. And then I assume you say that?
Yep.
And he'll look back and say, you did? I was beginning to think it would never happen. How is the girl?
Well, interesting story. And we've been friends for 28 years. I never keep anything from you. So I found out she's a dragon.
For the first time tonight, and indeed for years, you see Caleb's face is one of a mask of surprise, and his jaw just drops open.
Yeah. She's a dragon. A black dragon, too.
Surely you jest.
Nope.
You mean... And he starts almost doing with his hands, horns and breath and wings and dragon.
Yeah. Did you see the one that we came flying in on?
The giant red one. Yes, of course. The whole city saw it.
Yeah. Imagine that, but smaller and black.
That's all that's coming from Caleb's mouth.
Yeah. Yeah. She's still in love with me.
But she was, and he does the when guys do that thing when they're doing the female figure. He's like, but she was tiny.
Yeah. She can turn into a human.
Well, of course she can. Caleb throws his hands up in the air he's broken past the limit where he is doubting anything at all now.
Yeah, it's been a weird couple of years. It's been a weird. It's been weird.
It has at that. So you found your lost love, and she's a dragon. And what do you make of that? What becomes of such a thing?
We're gonna try and make it work. Oh, right.
What?
There's also this. Hold on. You remember that small black dragon that you that traveled with us on the way here?
Yes.
That's her kid.
With this, both Sky and Kayla. Sky, who's been this entire time, because she doesn't really know much about dragons, but this one, they both, and then Kayla's like, so you and her, and he makes this interjoining fingers.
No. He's my kid. That's kind of the reason why she left in the first place. Politics. They needed more black dragons, so she had to go back to the. It's a long story.
Right. Kayla, seeing that you're obviously uncomfortable, says, right. So, good for you. You're a braver man than I am, King. And then he shakes his head, turns back to Sky. Dragon. And then she just kind of shrugs.
Yeah.
And he says, well, this is not the place for that kind of conversation. We need to be in a tavern. Or
Yes.
elves have taverns. They have the most amazing mead. You must try it, Keen. Sky, your patrol's done. And then she's like, yes, it is. Good. Your sword will be sharpened and ready for you tomorrow. And he looks back to Keen. Apparently, after your big to-do meeting, which she's been summoned to, she's going on another patrol into the deep.
Oh. Okay.
And Sky nods and she says, we've had complications with the mother, and we have to stay ever vigilant.
Yeah.
And Caleb says, but that's, like I said, for another time and another place. Come! And then he puts an arm around both your shoulders and leads you guys quite noisily out of the forge and into a tavern where you guys all begin drinking heavily.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there is something that Caleb will bring up much later when you guys are well and truly plastered. If there's anything you would like to bring up, you are more than welcome to.
I think I've said basically everything that,
Okay.
we need to. I can't think of anything.
You guys, you drink together and you share stories and you get a little tipsy and then you get drunk, and of course Caleb gets louder the drunker he gets, and at one point Sky's wings unfold before she catches herself because you're all slobbered. And at one point Sky is asleep on the table. And Caleb remarks to you rather drunkenly, one of the toughest girls I've ever met, but them elves, even the true ones, can't hold their liquor. And he elbows Keen.
I see.
And then he gets somber for a second, and he says, Keen, be careful out there.
Of course.
No.
You be careful of yourself.
The last time I went below ground, I saw her.
The mother?
He doesn't respond, but that says everything, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. I've seen her before too. She's a bitch.
He shakes his head. She slaughtered the unit without even trying. She was surrounded by spiders with bodies. The elves call them driders.
Yeah.
And she is, as far as I can tell, only a general. Just one arm of what we face.
Really?
Well, he sloshes his mug around. There's the Zeal and the Mother, and I hear the Lich King's involved, and...
Oh, right, the Lich King. He's pretty whiny when he doesn't get his way.
And deadly.
Yeah. Did I tell you that, we actually met face to face? You wanted all the free lands.
And Caleb looks at that and says, I say fuck him. He can sit there in his tower and rot for all I care. We don't need him.
That's what we told him.
Good man. But I know you. You're one of the toughest people I've ever seen, but the things we're up against.
Yeah,
You be careful.
I will.
And with that, he slams the mug on the table and wakes Sky up, and he says, go home, girl. You've got a council to go to tomorrow. And Sky's like, what? And she's got like white hair stuck to her cheek. And she goes, oh my gosh, I need to go. And then she gets up and she falls over the chair and her wings spray out again. And every time this happens, the elves in the bar just look at her wide-eyed. And then she stands back up and her wings and you're not even sure, but they seem to just fold and unfold into her clothing. You're not even sure where they're coming from. But it's almost as if this uniform has been altered to allow such things. And then And then she again stands up and she brushes herself off and she says, Caleb, I will pick up the sword tomorrow. Keen, I'll see you at the council.
Mm-hmm.
Good evening, gentlemen. And then she tries as proudly as possible to exit the bar. And after she leaves, Caleb and you have a quiet moment, and then Caleb starts roaring with laughter.
There's something that I want to ask him.
Mm-hmm.
So, you two are kind of close.
He looks at you for a second, wondering, and then he laughs. He says, No, not that one. She's more of a lost daughter that I never had, if anything else. No, that one... She puts up a good front, but she's told me tales on nights where we have been less than sober. The things she's been through. That is a quagmire I would never dare to tread.
Mm-hmm.
She's a good lass, but I pity her.
Mm.
But enough of that. I gotta get you home. You gotta look presentable. You gotta be in front of... And he does like this little motion with his hands above his head like royalty. In front of the Queen and the Lady Celine. You're a big man with much to do.
The royals. Ugh. Ugh.
And with that, he laughs. He says, Come on, King. And then you guys start exiting the bar.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else? Or
No.
otherwise, he's just going to lead you... he's slobbered. He doesn't know where you're staying, so he leads you back to the forge.
Okay.
And he stretches out on the oversized anvil and then just starts snoring.
Do I know where I'm staying?
You could assume perhaps maybe like you've never actually asked anyone about billeting. So you could make a fair assumption that the same place you stayed last time you were here, but you don't actually know for sure. You haven't...
Well, how about this? Since it was supposed to take 2 hours or a few hours later than the other ones, could I have done that before?
Sure. Then absolutely yes. Then yeah, you have a room in the palace. It's quite comfortable and nice actually.
All right. Then I'll slowly make my way there.
All right.
And I won't use the ring tonight.
Okay. So then you sleep a peaceful slumber, and you are woken up as blinds are thrown open, and it hurts.
Yeah.
And you see a wood elf who's dressed as an attendant, and she says, Forgive my intrusion, Master Stormsire, but you've been summoned to a council that is starting in less than an hour.
Oh, right, that thing. Thank you for waking me up.
She nods. She says, We've already drawn a bath and laid out clothes for you, but you might want to hurry, she says. And then her and the other attendant kind of titter, and then they leave the room.
Okay. I'm gonna make my way over to the bath.
And just so you know, like they said, it's that you're late. You're not late, but
shit.
you're coming up on late.
Yeah. I've kind of overslept.
Yes, quite a bit.
Yeah.
And then
Okay.
we'll just go ahead and end there.
Yep.
Okay, so this is my solo session with Pref. I mean,
Hi.
Cole. I mean,
Hi.
yeah.
Hi.
A quick recap, as I said in Skype, that we are retroactiving things a little bit. You guys arrived at the Sunset Tower in the evening, and you had a very quick, you were greeted, of course, by the Elf Queen Alana and Lady Celine, and you gave a quick rundown of what's going on, like, oh, you've showed up on a dragon. I guess that means things went well, you know, like that kind of thing. And you've been told that tomorrow at noon, they are going to hold a council of all of the allies that have been gathered at the Sunset Tower to decide everyone's next step. But until then, Everyone's kind of just wandering off to do their own thing. Pearson's going to go see his family. Keen's wandered off. The elf queen, before Cole has had much of a chance to do anything, has actually whisked Finn away.
Okay.
And Cole is kind of just left to his own devices.
Oh boy. I believe Cole's first maneuver would probably be to try to get in contact with the gnomes. I believe I can be drawn to at least the closest gnome.
Well, you could be drawn to their tribe, which isn't exactly the same thing, but in this instance, it works just as well, because you quickly find out that the tribe of gnomes that you helped with Jigal and Fergal, the one that helped with Pearson's poison, the alchemist one.
Right.
They're all at the moment in the Sunset Tower. They've been called together. You find as you speak more that they are there infrequently because they're kind of the liaison to help move the forces underground.
Right.
And they have set up kind of a pseudo half temporary, half permanent encampment, actually located with the orcs.
Ooh. Okay.
So, you can find your way over to them. You do feel compelled towards the tribe itself, so you don't have to ask for directions. You can kind of just follow your nose.
I just hope the excuse me. I just hope that the necklace actually like rises up and just kind of like pulls Cole around.
No, not quite like that.
Darn.
It feels like that. It just doesn't have any actual appearance of that.
Okay.
So you arrive at the encampment, and you find an odd sight, actually. You find several orcs are sitting cross-legged in front of Fergal, the alchemist.
Okay.
And Fergal is, from what you can tell, weaving a tale that is just enthralling these orcs. And Fergal is dancing about and waving his hands wildly, and you're not sure exactly what he's saying, but you get the impression that he's telling about some great exploit of someone, maybe him, maybe a hero, maybe something. And these orcs are listening to every word that this funny little gnome is saying. And as you draw closer, you find that one of the orcs sitting there that is probably more enthralled than any of the others is Wagga.
Oh, Wagga.
Oh, Wagga. And Wagga notices you, and he says, "Cole, my brother!" And he leaps up and he grasps your forearm and smacks you in the shoulder quite hard, but not. I mean, for you, for an orc, it would be like me giving you a bro fist, but probably for someone else, it might actually have been painful.
Oh. Cole's actually going to probably do a similar action at the same time, giving him one of those like crushing bear hug things.
He will follow suit and squeeze just as hard, and then he'll say, "Come, we were just hearing the great exploits of your troop." And he comes, and Fergal, who has stopped his dancing at seeing you, almost mid-step, as if, oh my god, the person I was exaggerating the tales about has suddenly shown up and I'm busted.
All right.
And he quickly gathers himself and he says, "Cole, it's good to see you again."
Actually, I've actually come to see you, but it is glad to see you are making friends with our clan.
And Fergal says, "Yes, you didn't tell me you were part of Clan Wagga."
Well, it was sudden, but I think I should try to at least get used to this.
It's, sorry, forgive me as a GM, it's actually Wogaha. There is a difference between Waga's name and Wogaha's clan, but it's subtle, and I always forget it.
All right.
And Fergal says, Of course, of course." And then he looks at the other orcs and he says, "To be continued another time." And you hear like some grumbling, like "ah," and the orcs wander away, except for one who you didn't notice because lost in the giant forms of the orcs, it was impossible to see. But sitting cross-legged with his chin upon his fist sits Guy. And Guy hasn't moved, and he's sitting there as if pondering. You almost hear to himself. You hear him say to himself, "I don't quite remember it that way, but Guy's memory is not the best." And he hasn't even noticed that everyone else has left.
Ah.
And as the orcs wander off, Waga is still by your side, but Fergal comes up to you and he says, "What can I do for you?"
Well, I wanted to expand my horizons. I remember that you helped my good friend with some poisons.
Yes, yes, I did. I hope they were of use.
I believe he used them well. But I do know that gnomes are usually used for magics as well. Do you know any forms of magic that would be identical to what you've done for Pearson?
Oh, you mean a magic that would poison someone? Or, I assume, the similar, perhaps a venom of some sort. He thinks about it and tilts his head. "I must confess, my specialty is in illusionary magic. Magic of the mind. To have people see or smell things that aren't actually there. To be... not to brag too much," and he sounds like he's bragging. "I am one of the few gnomes that is strong enough in it that I could even make you feel like you're in a completely different room when you're standing in a field of flowers. But I might be able to... Yes, there might be a way. But it's a bit odd. It was taught to me by a sorcerer friend of mine I once found, I traded with. Let me see if I can recall it." And then he backs up a few steps, and then he mumbles something to himself, and then he takes a big inhale of breath, and then he breathes out, and this small cloud of what looks like green transparent gas puffs out of his mouth and dissipates. And he says, "I don't know if that's exactly what you're looking for, but that cloud would have much the same effect as the venoms that I gave to Pearson. I could try to teach it to you. I have been told, though, that everyone learns it quite a different way. I somehow learned best to breathe it out. I have seen others that when they attack someone with their nails, that it would poison them. I've seen another that apparently would do it by spitting on them. So it's slightly different for everyone, but I could try to teach you."
Cole studies the situation, now sitting down cross-legged. And he will definitely want to try to experience this more. He's... in his mind's eye, he's grasping what would probably be what effects it would have and how it would be distributed and things like that.
Okay. As you are very quiet, Fergal is letting you contemplate. And then he says slowly, after some time, he says, "It would take some time, at least a week or so, to teach you the basics of it. How long do you intend to stay?"
I don't believe very long. We are unsure of the next step, but I think we will find out if there's any larger meeting of the minds.
Ah, Fergal says, yes, I have heard and been summoned to the council tomorrow. Well, if the hero of the gnomes asks me to teach him something, then teach him something I shall. If you don't mind a traveling companion to wherever you next roam, perhaps I will accompany you. And I can teach you this new trick, and you might find my abilities useful.
And Cole has one nod of his head, leaps up on his feet, and with a big smile, sort of looms over him like he's going to hug him.
Fergal shrinks back. He's a tiny gnome. You're a big orc man.
Cole's still gonna like scoop him up and give him a smaller hug, but still probably a bit too much.
Yeah, Fergal kind of squirms a bit. And then you set him back down, and he adjusts his bottles and his potions, and he says, "Yes, well, of course. Then, yes, and he doesn't know what to say, and then he says, "Then I shall go over the basics. Then, if you have time."
I believe I have some time here, and I'll wait for my friends' calls, I suppose.
Fergal nods to himself and says, "Very well, then we can start going over the basics." And for the rest of the evening, unless Cole chooses to do something else, Fergal will start teaching him. Cole, because of what's happened before, has already grasped the concept of feeling the magic in him. And Fergal is going to quickly get past that Cole can do this and start kind of training him to focus it in a certain direction. How it will manifest, he's not sure. Cole's not sure yet either. But he starts going over the simple basics. You do learn, or Cole does learn that night, that he gets a better understanding of what was happening when his javelin was disappearing into lightning. Up until now, it was always kind of an unconscious, it just happened. And Cole he's obviously hasn't mastered the art or the knowledge of it. But Fergal's been able to kind of help him understand what was taking place. How Cole was manipulating the magic around him to do it. And Fergal actually sounds incredibly surprised that you were able to do such an advanced thing with no training whatsoever. And he points out that once in a while, he has heard that rangers in the wild, who spend their entire lives among nature and can do extraordinary things, can have such an attunement to magic that they are capable of pulling off great feats with no training, and that you must be one of those. And the entire session, you do find that Waga has sit down cross-legged and watched the lesson with great interest. He confesses he doesn't understand anything about magic, and after a quick test, Fergal acknowledges that Waga wouldn't know what magic was if it hit him. But Waga, nonetheless, seems rather interested, and he sits next to Agi, who you're still not even sure if he realizes the story's ended or yet. He is still so deep in thought. But those two sit there, a silent audience to your lesson.
Nice.
And that is that. Is there anything else you'd want to bring up with any of them, or?
Cole seems to be really focused on learning a magic instead of just kind of doing one.
Mm-hmm.
And he's eager to expand his abilities, so he's quite focused on the lesson.
Okay. Then I would say that deep into the night, Cole being a beast when it comes to stamina, finally realizes that Fergal, though being attentive and studious and polite, is almost asleep on his feet.
Well, thank you for this very nice lesson, but I don't think you're going to be fit to teach me much of anything else at this stage.
Fergal, what? What? Oh, right. Then we shall continue this another time, and I will see you tomorrow at the council.
And Cole will nod with a sparkle in his eye and a smile on his face.
All right, and then with that, you do have a room at the palace. It's actually up to you. Wagger will, of course, invite you to come spend the night with the tribe, or with the orc tribe. You also have a room furnished to you at the palace. It is your call where Cole spends the night.
I think he'll spend the time with the clan.
Okay.
He's a little bit too wound up to go to sleep at this point.
Then, actually, they're orcs. They're going to be up drinking and singing and telling war stories all night. So Cole can literally stay up through the dawn if he chooses to, or he can go to sleep at some point. If he chooses to, he will be furnished with a meager but comfortable bed. Far more comfortable than Cole is generally used to on tree branches and stuff. So more than enough to suit him. Yeah, like I said, you can be up all night if you want. You can go to sleep at some point. It's all yours.
I'm sure sleep would hit him eventually. But it is probably going to be late into the night.
All right. Then you spend the night reveling with your clan, which have spent incredibly little time with. You do find that what might come as a surprise to you, it might not, despite growing up in very different places and in some ways being very different creatures, you share a lot in common with your orc brethren. You have the same disposition. From the stories you hear, it seems that orcs tend to enjoy danger as much as Cole does. And you are beginning to learn that you may not be as different from these people as you thought.
Oh, all right.
And then sleep finds you. And then we'll just go ahead and stop there.
I would say somewhere probably around, like, if time-wise, probably like 3 o'clock in the morning-ish.
Alrighty. The meeting's not till noon, so you could still actually even get a good night's sleep with that.
All right.
So, yeah, that is that.